everybody, welcome to my channel for a new battle report. Second game of ETC 2022. We are playing against Belgium, so we capped Wales and now we're against a Belgium team. I was paired against a Cho, aka Max. He was playing Demon Legion. So you know already my list, and this was my opponent's list. He was playing a Miser of Sugulag with a Master Evo, with Mirrored Scale and Unnatural Roots. So basically very strong to pin down units, and then very good range damage magic plus also support. Really like Evo. I think it's a all-around magic phase. Gives you a all-around magic phase. And then as a support mage, he has a Courtesan of Sibarach, who is an adept witchcraft with resilience 6 and arm save 5 up. Then he has MSU core, 2x 11 succubi, 11 12, and then 2x imps with hereditary as a spell. Two big thrashing engine who are really good. I really love the option Divining Snout that give him +2 on the charge against a magical item. I think it's really good. I mean, charge with movement 12, it just seems completely broken. So it's already a challenge for me to face this chariot. Each time that I face the demon, I have the feeling that it's really hard to deal with the mobility and mostly the charge range of these chariots. But now with +2 on the charge against my 3 main unit, it makes it even harder for me to predict what they could do and to reduce their potential impact. 1 Blazing Glory, a unit of Sirens, and then 3 Bloodflies with the mark that is very good against my army, which is a 9 Joe with a champion. We played for this round Secure Target and Counter Trust. I think it's quite interesting composition because it puts the token, as you can see, quite far away in the opponent's deployment zone, which we are not used to when playing Secure Target. So I thought it was a really interesting combination. As a spell selection, I went with Hand of Heaven, Smite the Unbeliever, Wrath of God, Hereditary, Rod of Battle. I think you can always debate whether or not to pick Wrath of God against a demon army that is really mobile with a lot of single models, but I felt it's still interesting. Since we play Secure Target, he might have to be at some part of the map at some point to score secondary objective, and Wrath of God is still quite good against his scoring unit, because if you check his list, I mean, he has only 4 scoring units that are all pretty small and very sensitive to Wrath of God. So I felt only for the secondary objective alone they should be it should be already an interesting spell, and then obviously against some other targets like a chariot it can do stuff. And then obviously Hereditary, Rod of Battle, and Chilling All. My opponent's spell selection, he went with 2 buffs and 2 snipes for Evo, and then Raven's Wing and I Can't Shoot with Witchcraft, which is a very good spell against the Mercvets, and Imps had 2 Hereditary spell. Matchup analysis. So it's a typical close combat oriented MSU Demon Legion. I know exactly what to expect from them. I know that the Chariot are for me one of the main threats. I would be really happy to start in order first to mitigate his push ability, second to start to apply range damage, and also to minimize my shot or range damage potential, and third, I mean, we are playing Counter Trust, so if I can start, it means that I can push him back on one part of the map. That could be interesting for me, so I think it's quite good. And also the fact that I would start would mean that I would place my token second, which would be the best case for me. So obviously I would really like to have as close as possible secure targets in order to be able to play for both, because I think it's to the advantage of my opponent to put them pretty far away from each other, because I'm not so good to have a scoring unit outside of my BSB and general bubble. My matchup rating was an 8. I know that there is high variance around the matchup, and it could be a very dangerous matchup for me, especially if the demon can start, because he can chaff me with the siren, push hard, and then multiple charge from turn 2, forcing me to minimize, maybe be in trouble regarding the secondary objective. So I knew that it could be a dangerous matchup for me. Deployment. So quite interestingly, he won the roll for side decided to pick the top and put his secure target right here. I measured and see that I could get my secure target in front of the house, 24 from his. So I felt that would be really ideal for me, because then I can use the wall as a first step and then go to score this. So I felt this is really a perfect combination for me. I think I would have, regarding the side, I don't know if that was the right choice for him to pick the with the house in the middle. I think it could give me more trouble if he would have given me the house, and then the placement of the token, I would talk about it at the end of the game maybe. But yeah, it surprised me a bit that I was able to get them so close in a quite positive manner for me. So then I started to drop. I placed my 11 tribesmen that way in order to push him as back as possible between the house and the side of the board. So I felt here are both tokens, here is a house, so you cannot place anything, and then the rest here between the two tokens, I push you back as much as possible. So I felt that would be, that is the ideal case for me. He plays his light cavalry right here. Then I place my giant to push him back on the flank. In case he decides to go strong here, he would need more time to go towards here. And I felt the position of the giant was pretty ideal for me because I'm on the hill. So I could get reroll the charges in case he want to vanguard forward. So I check also what type of vanguard move he could do, because I would like to cover all the possible move of his cavalry. His second drop was, I guess, something on the left. Maybe he put down a chariot, and then I guess like succubi or imps unit as a third drop, or maybe this succubi. Nevertheless, he put one scoring unit and a chariot as his second and third drop. My third drop was a unit of bruiser to even push him back. Here there was a small corner within 20 where he could have been a bit further forward, so I decided to go with the bruisers. And then after my third drop, obviously I decided to drop the rest for first turn. So I calculate how would my swift reform of the unit of tribesmen look like, and then I place accordingly my Tusker unit on the flank, and then the merc vets here that could use the wall as a distracting bonus to close. I expected him, when I saw his first pieces, my main expectation, or the main scenario for me, was he would put some pieces on the left but not too much, and the rest over the right, and try to push me from here, and basically still keep enough pieces to keep me busy and make hard for me to really push towards the right. That's what I expected, and he more try to contest this one and maybe abandon this one, or just keep like succubi here all the way to the back and try to get it later on. That's what I expected. But he decided to go really strong against me, so decided to put second chariot here, Sibarash here, Sugulag here, Succubi, Blazing Glory, and Imps. So most of his army is facing directly me in this small part of the map, and then the rest of his army is on the right. So he just put 3 flies to deal with my giant, and then some succubi here to try to play for this secondary objective, and maybe threaten also do some damage against the merc vets, because these guys have like an agility bonus, making me strike at the same time than them if I charge them with the merc vets, I guess. What I like is the fact that with the positioning of the merc vets like that, I have some very good line of sight, and that force him to go all the way back with both his characters, which I like, because that would give me some time. They would move from further away, so they need more time to move forward. Let's move on to my first turn. So he didn't do much with his vanguard. My first turn, basically I swift reform, move forward, place my Great Khan back in the unit where he belongs, position my merc vets using the wall to be distracting in case he wants to charge me with the chariot. I kept my 3 darts all the way back, kept also the Tusker a bit more back, wanted to make him quite long charge if he wanted to charge me, and I pushed Max with the Tusker, with my Frost Mammoth and the Slave Giant going for the flank, forcing him to move towards the right and move back with the flies, and the Frosty trying to threaten already the Succubi unit. What else can I tell you? So I decided to try to bait him with the Tri-Star. I felt I have a lot of ranks, the characters are really far away, so I checked what could charge me with this positioning, and basically there is only a Succubi and a Chariot that could charge the Death Star. So I felt that's perfectly fine. If you want to charge me and exchange a couple of tribesmen for these 2 units, I would be more than happy. And basically I position my other strengths as a counter charge position if I need to. In the magic phase, I got -1 resilience on his chaff unit to make it easier for me to kill it with End of Heaven and shots. End of Heaven, I kill 1, and then what happened usually, I kill 3 with shooting, so there is 1 remaining after my shooting phase. His phase, his turn 1, so he decided to go for it. He charged with both the Chariot and the Succubi. I decided obviously to hold, and then he pushed behind it with his Blazing Glory and Sugulag to make sure that depending what happened he could support this combat on the next turn. Obviously I don't have so good odds to break him this turn or to kill him this turn. Depends if I roll really crazy with my Great Khan, but obviously the Succubi do a lot of attack, will do a lot of combat result against me before I can strike. But this will be definitely interesting. He pushed a bit with his Succubi, giving me a middle long charge to tempt me to charge. Push forward with his flies, ignoring completely my giant that will be able to push here, and position also Sibaresh a bit more toward the center, but still quite far away from my shots. His Chariot on the left moved slightly, and that was it in his magic phase. Also worth mentioning, the Succubi was a charge on 8 Swift Ride. Stand and shoot, I killed 2 with the Ogre crossbow from the Great Khan, which is always nice. And the flies that marched from the forest took 3 wounds from DTs, which was really good for me. I didn't felt it was needed for him to march forward, so I was a bit surprised by that, but I think he wanted to be able to counter charge. He positioned the chaff in front of the forest scene. Basically he wanted to tell me, if you charge that, I can charge you after, which I understand. In magic phase he got reroll to wound on his Succubi that are in close combat against my main unit. I dispel -1 toughness against my big unit with 5 dice against his 4. And then close combat, I did 7 wounds total, he did 11 to me, and I passed my steadfast check. So I didn't do crazy, but yeah, with reroll to wound, I mean, this Succubi do an impressive amount of attacks. My turn 2. So I decided to countercharge with darts. I charge with the bruisers on the flank of the darts and with tribesmen on the Chariot. I felt that should be enough to deal with them and maybe get some overruns and see what happens. I wanted to be sure that I would be out of combat after this round, because if I stay engaged, I cannot predict then what will happen, and if he can support the combat with a piece like a Blazing Glory, Sibaresh, Sugulag, that could be way too much for this unit, so I needed to be careful about that. I decided to move back with the Frosty, try to kill him with shooting. I couldn't afford to charge him. Push to the flank with my giant, go behind the wall with the Murkvets to basically get a cover against his shots, and at the same time still keep the distracting. And that's it in the magic phase. I got -1 resilience on the Chariot to help me in close combat. I got hereditary as well on my bruiser, I guess, and then I got End of Heaven on his chaff piece, and I did no wounds. I tried to shoot against his chaff. I guess, I don't know if I kill it with the hunting spear or not, don't remember. I think no, and then I needed to shoot with them against the chaff to kill it. I guess so. Not 100. Oh no, sorry. I kill it with my hunting spear indeed, and then I shot with my Murkvets against Sugulag and I did 1 wound to him, which was nice. Close combat, I did a further couple of wounds against me, my Tribestar, and I basically killed both the Chariot and the Succubi. I reformed the guys on the left, decided to overrun with them because I felt I could have some chaff and charge blocking options, and just pivot what was left from my Death Star. His turn 2, he decided to charge me with Sibaresh against this unit. I passed my 7 rerollable, or 9 reroll, at this point of time, my 9 rerollable check. Then he decided to charge with Sugulag against my Death Star, and I decided to take my time out. I felt that would have been too risky to hold the charge against both the Blazing Glory and Sugulag, so I decided I had some safe paths to flee. The only thing that I wasn't sure about, it would generate an 8 rerollable panic check that could be very yeah, if I fail it and go off the table with the 600 point Tusker, that would be a big problem for the remaining of the game. So I wasn't 100% sure about the decision, but still felt I had to flee, because getting engaged by these two models, there is no way I could get out of that. And then I wasn't sure I could get enough counter charge. He still has way to chaff me. So I fled it past the 8 rollable check, which was nice. He wasn't able to redirect with Suglike, so he just failed charge. Uses a unit of Sukubai to chaff my Merc-Vets and tempt me to charge. Push forward in a sweet spot with his Blazing Glory. I think the Chariot, did he charge with the Chariot? I don't think so. Let me check. I don't think he charged with the Chariot. Seems like he moved forward, because I moved within the ring to tempt him to charge me, but I think just moved forward with the Chariot, or attempted the long charge that he failed. The imps move slightly forward, and the flies face my giant, giving me kind of a long charge, I think, against the Frosty. I think so. And here, was he able to give me a front of flank? I don't know exactly. I think it's a... I chaffed me again. Oh, he was still alive with the chaff piece? Oh no, I didn't manage to kill the chaff piece and he chaffed me again. Okay, that's kind of huge. Maybe instead of Sugulag I should have used a couple of shots that I had to kill the chaff piece, because that's very annoying. So he chaffed me again. Magic Face, what happens? He get Twisted Effigy on my Frost Mammoth, I guess, because he wanted to reduce the movement of the Tuskers to make me avoid the charge. Basically, yeah, he attempted the charge, failed it, and he wanted to avoid me charging him. Then he got a D3 with a snipe, did 1 wound to the Tuskers, and what else? He did another 2 wounds to my Tuskers with an hereditary. I passed my panic check 8 rerollable, so he wanted to generate another panic on them, which is a good idea. Close combat, I did 1 wound to Sibaresh. He did 3 wounds to me. So I was losing by 3 and I passed the check. So I'm still engaged. I didn't even need a reroll, so I had no choice to make, unfortunately for me. My turn, 3. So I rally these guys, which is the good news, 9 rollable. Place my Merc-Vets to shot in short range at the Blazing Glory. Reposition my Tuskers. Use the dog to chaff the Chariot. Then I didn't like the fact of charging out of the ring with 3 model remaining against the Chariot here. I felt it's too risky to lose wounds, suffer another panic check on 8 rollable because the general wasn't rallied yet. So I felt that's way too risky. So I just repositioned them. Here we see in combat. Here I chaff his Sukubai and charge his chaff. Move around with the giant to threaten his scoring unit towards the middle. In the magic phase, I got a Dispel Hand of Heaven. I got -1 resilience on the Blazing Glory to make my shot better. I got Hereditary on the Bruisers facing the Sukubai. Close combat, I roll really good and I kill outright the Blazing Glory. So that was really nice. Yeah, I know a lot of shots on 4+ with poison, and then 4+ to wound because of -1 resilience was just too much for this Blazing Glory. Close combat, I lose by 2 this time and I break and he pursue me, ended up like here. So he rolled a lot, ended up all the way to the front, which was quite interesting for me because I wouldn't like him to end up like here and be able to charge my Tuskers. He's turn 3. He decided to position Sibaresh in front of my Tuskers. Reposition Justice Sugulag, didn't move much because my Merc-Vets were looking at him and he had no chaff left. His Chariot charged the chaff. Repositioned the flies to charge me in the back, and the imps were facing me. And yeah, that's it. I made sure he has no overrun, and he basically has a short way, so either he can move behind if he pursue me, but that's not sure. I mean, with -1 to wounds, he will be wounding me on 6 up, so that's going to be interesting. In his magic phase, he got -1 resilience on my Bruisers, so he wounds them on 5s instead of 6. I dispel rerolled. Then he did Twisted Effigy. Yeah, with the 4 remaining dice, he did Twisted Effigy on the Merc-Vets, and despite me having also 4 dice and MR3, he got that off, which was very annoying because I was looking forward to get another shooting phase at Sugulag and try to threaten him even more. Okay, then he did 1 wound to my Merc-Vets with the Imps. And the Bruisers did 4 wounds to him, he did 4 wounds to me, but I lost by 1 and I didn't pass 7 rollable, and I flee, but he doesn't catch me and stop in front of here because there is no way he can position here behind, so I have my Frosty looking at him. My turn. So I take a couple of charges, I take the Frosty to the flank to try to punish them, rally those guys on 8 rollable, charge with the Giants, try to get rid of them. I lost like 4 wounds until now due to shooting last round. I did a lot. So I think he did Hereditary and shots, or just shot, I don't remember. So I just charge him, and I think with 11 attack plus D3 impact plus D6 stomp, I should be able to get rid of them and then face the flies. Other than that, I decided to go for it with my Tuskers. I take 1 wound from the DT, and I felt I still have a chance to get rid of him, and then I have 2 strong units behind. In case it doesn't go well in these combats, I can still try to support with the Merc-Vets or the Kagadai. In the magic phase, I did Hereditary on my Tuskers, which is nice because he has only strength 5, so wounding me on 5 up will not be so easy. And then with 3 dice against 4, I went lucky and I got -1 resilience on him, which was something he was scared of, so I was very excited before combat. Let me tell you about the combat. So here I got rid of the Imps and I reformed in a way to get distracting from the wall, which is nice. The Frosty got rid of these guys, so this is nice as well. And then the Tuskers. So I put the numbers here. That's the only one that's not perfectly accurate because I cannot simulate the D3 impact hit, but I had 3 D3 impact hit, wounding on the 4-up, rerolling the 1s. I just make the simulation in case I roll average impact, which is 6, how much I would do. So I would do most likely 2 wounds, so I did 2 wounds to him, so we had 3 wounds left. And then what else happened? The Tusker, so he goes before me, he did 3 wounds, which is kind of expected. So he has like 6 attacks on 2+5+, I guess. Did 3 wounds to me, so he killed 1 model, and then I have 2 left to attack. With the Beast, I did 0 wounds because I'm hitting on 6 up, rerolling the 1s, and wounding on 4 up, rolling the 1s. And then the Riders, again, 6 up, rolling the 1s to hit, and then 3 up, rolling the 1s to wound, and I did 1 wound. So totally I did 3 wounds. He did 3 wounds to me. I had the charge and the standard, but he was steadfast and he passed his steadfast check. So that was an important one because he had only 2 wounds remaining. So if he didn't pass steadfast, he would pop already, and that would have been really, really nice for me. He's turn 4. So he decided instead his chariot could charge the flank of the Tuskers or could go straight line and charge these guys. He decided to go for these guys, so he took the charge, got some DTs, but wanted to try to break me with impact hit and all of this. And if he reformed to the flank, then even if he got stuck, basically I couldn't counter charge with the Merc-Vets. So he decided to go for it. His flies decided to charge my distracting giant with 2 wounds remaining, I guess. Sugulag move on the hill to try to be in a counter-charge position, and the Imps move slightly forward. In his magic phase, I Binding Scroll, reroll to wound. He got then D3 snipes against the Frost Mammoth, let that go, he did 3 wounds, and then he did another snipe and did the last wound. So he killed my Frosty. A bit sad, but what I wanted the most was to stop the buffs on these 2 combats, and that's what happened. He got no buffs. So that was something good for me. Close combat. What happened? I think so. He has 2 wounds remaining. I think this round I did 1 wound to him, so he has 1 wound left, and he did something like 2 wounds to me, or 2 wounds, I guess. So I'm still alive, and I had a standard, and it was a tie combat. This one, he did a couple of wounds, but nothing crazy with no buffs. I go back. He did 5 wounds to me. I did 5 wounds to him, so that was okay. My turn. So here we still engage. He has 1 wound left at this point of time. Yeah, that's what I told you, I guess. 1 wound left. 1 wound left, and I have 3 wounds left. So if he doesn't kill me, I have a chance of killing him, which would be really nice. The flies, I forgot to mention, last round was really sad. He did 1 or 2 wounds to me, I did 1 to him. I think I lost by 1. And he pursued, broke me and run me down. Was a bit sad. So as you can see, I have my 2 monsters just died last round. My turn 5, turn around to shoot at Sugulag. He was still in combat. Move these guys forward in case I need them for secondary objective. In the magic phase, I got again -1 resilience on Sibaresh. I was excited. Again, hereditary on the Tuskers, so even better. Again, double buff. He has no buff, so I felt here I have a big chance. He dispel +1 to hit, obviously, which is maybe my best buff. Shooting, I shot at Sugulag, trying to do some more wounds, but he passes 2 saves and I did nothing to him. And then close combat, Sibaresh did 2 wounds to me, and then the last Tuskers, boom, kill Sibaresh. So that was a very great moment for me. And the Chariot, yeah, I mean, he had only like 2 wounds left, so the Kagadai and plus the Triton attack just finished this guy off, which is really awesome. So my turn, his turn 5, reposition Sugulag to try to snipe this guy down. So as you can see, I don't have so many wounds left. Reposition the flies to threaten me, move the imps forward, try to do some more damage to me. He snipes me in magic, kill the Tusker and nothing else that matters. And then my turn 6, I had multiple options. One was to move out Greases, put him in front of Sugulag, and then put the scoring unit, and in case he break me, kill me, I have a 7 rollable to get secondary objective. Second option was to not go and just say we tie secondary objective, but I save my points. And third option, what I think the right option is what I did, just move within the second objective, tell him you can charge me, I have to pass a 9 rollable terror check, you go within the ruin, and then we go in a challenge, and let's see what happens. I move my Mercvets into secondary objective as well to shoot at the flies in short range. Just move these guys far away, don't need them anymore. In the magic phase, I did hereditary on my TriStar, or what remains of it, and then I got -1 resilience on Sugulag, so I felt that's quite exciting. Shooting phase, I did only 2 wounds to the flies, so I will take no points here. His turn, decide to go for it. I pass my terror check, so this is going to be very interesting. We go into a challenge. He got reroll to wound on his general. I dispel -1 toughness. We go into a challenge against Croesus. He didn't do much. He did 1 wound to me, so it's like 5 attack on, I don't know, 4+ and 4+ rollable, or 5+ rollable even. He did 1 wound to Greases, then I strike, I roll no 1, so no mirror against me, which is nice. I go at him, I did a couple of wounds, he saved a couple, and I did a total of 3 wounds with the Kagadai. So that was really nice, meaning he had a charge, a natural root, 1 wound, I have 3 wounds standard, so he's down by 1, and I had a, down by 1, so -1, he passes check on the 8, so all good, he's still here. Alive. So what happened this round? We ended up being it ended up being a 17-3 for me, thanks to a second objective and what happened towards the end of the game. So really happy about that. Coco 119, Alan against Arthur, it went to a 19 for Arthur. Strauss, Adrien against Dimitri, 17 for Dimitri. Pollux had a very good matchup against the Sylvan Elves, won 18. Xavier Captain lost 7 to their Infernal Dwarfs that did an impressive score during this ATC. Then the duel of the Vermin Swarm turned in favor of our Vermin Swarm player, Thomas. And then we had Miss F winning against Andy 14-6. It ended up being a big win for Switzerland, thanks to a couple of large wins, so 4 big wins were enough to win it big for us, so quite happy about that. Very interesting and pleasant round against Belgium. Thanks a lot to the Belgium guys. I think it was very enjoyable games through all the tables, so thanks a lot to them for this amazing round. What happened in my game? So first of all, I was really happy to get close, secure targets and be able to start. I think on a macro level, I got what was the best situation for me, so I'm quite happy how I deployed and the way, the configuration, the setup of the game, I think what I was looking for. To the contrary, I think from my opponent's perspective, we could say that he could have placed his token better, probably towards the middle right of the map, to not give me the ability to put them in front of the impassable, and I think he should have probably picked the other part of the map to give me the impassable, to maybe also try to place his token in front of the impassable, or force me, to basically be annoying for me. So I think he had ways to make it more complicated game for me. He went, what surprised me a bit, he went for an aggro approach, dropping in front of me, going for it despite going second, which not many people do against my list. On a micro level, the bait with the Tri-Star to control where the chariot charge didn't backfire. It was somehow a bit of a risky play, but I felt needed, because if I would have stayed in a standoff position, basically it could have been very dangerous for me. He could have dictated that with the chariot that can charge with movement 12 against most of my unit, he could have basically dictated the fight, and I would have been in big trouble. Worth mentioning also the fact that he took a risk, because if he failed the 8 Swift Strike charge with the Succubi, and I get rid of the chariot on the first round, then I get a free pivot. So it could have been also very dangerous for him to fail this charge. Tuskers with Sibaresh, I think, was a dicey combat. I got 2 buffs 2 rounds in a row, he got no buffs at all, and I think that was the decisive factor. So in my opinion, I think here my opponent could have done prioritize his magic a bit more. As you saw, in a key turn, he decided to kill the Frosty, which is not bad, I mean, it's a lot of points, but at the same time, the game wasn't going to be decided there. The game was going to be decided in the combat. And while him using dice to do that, I was able to dispel both combat buff. So I think he should have told me, okay, 4 dice, -1 resilience, 3 dice, reroll 2 wounds, something like that, you know, force the spell a bit more through and make sure that he gets 1 buff, the buffs that he needed for Sibaresh to survive, for example. Yeah, Great Khan play a lot of combat. I mean, 2 chariot, a couple of Succubis, Sugulag, so a lot of fights, and he stayed strong despite all this combat that were potentially quite dangerous for me. I think I was also helped by the fact that my opponent didn't roll so good on his impact hits, but definitely here the lack of magic support was huge and could change things. And last but not least, I have the overall feeling on a macro level that my opponent tried to fight a bit at too many places at the same time. If you take, for example, the round where my Tuskers have charged Sibaresh, then he had the choice to counter-charge with the chariot in the flank to get rid of the Tuskers for sure, or almost sure, instead of going for my for what remains of my Death Star. And I think that should have been his choice. Try to overwhelm me in close combat with multiple threats in one combat, instead of going in 1-against-1 fight, which is exactly what I'm looking for, because I have strong, lot of health points, heavy units that have a lot of attacks as well. So I felt he went a bit too much in the type of combat that I was looking for, instead of trying to multi-charge something and just overwhelm me. But that's my feeling. I'm not a Demon Legion player, so maybe you feel otherwise, or he felt otherwise. That's all for this battle report. I hope it was exciting. I mean, it was the most exciting game, I think, from my ATC, so I really enjoyed it a lot. It was a very friendly game, very enjoyable, technical, a lot of combat from the first round to the last round, but still we had plenty of time to play it, so it was really, really enjoyable, and definitely the type of games that should be ETC and all tournaments around the world, which is competitive. You can play serious, you can think a lot about situation, but still, I mean, you play it fair, you make it enjoyable for both, you have some exchange with the opponent, and that was exactly that. So it's, basically had all part of the game that makes me like 9th Age so much. Thanks out guys for watching. Thanks to Belgium again for the round, was really enjoyable. And yeah, that was the end of a very good first day for us. We capped Wales and almost capped Belgium. So I think that we were up to a good start, and we're really looking forward to the third round, which was going to be against Netherlands. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon on the channel. Bye bye.